Welcome to the MusicNut Program. I am John, the MusicNut. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching and thank you for your comments on my 10 favorite songs from 1991 video. Ches, this is for you, buddy. My 10 favorite albums from 1991. 1991 was a very pivotal year in my musical foundation. All 10 of these albums I will discuss today are albums that I listen to pretty often to this day in 2024. So that's why there might be some other albums from 91 that I really love that I will not be discussing. If I don't listen to them anymore, I'm not going to talk about them. I will mention a few at the end of the show. Let's start out with number 10. Oh, and first, hi, Laurie. Number 10. It's an album I bought when it came out. And I loved it. I didn't love it so much. Now I love it again. I gotta thank the Contrarians for that, for not doing a show on it during the series, but a show. I believe it was on Joe Beck's channel. Wasted some time with Average Joe. Oh, I'm sorry. It was Rock Daydream Nation with Peter Kerr. But I know Joe loves this album too. Van Halen for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. To me, if I want to listen to Sammy Hagar era Van Halen, this is where I go. I don't need to hear the other albums. I mean, there's things on those albums that, whether it's the production, whether I don't think the songs are up to snuff, this I think really works. This is when Van Halen started rocking again. Pound Cake, what a fantastic opener with Eddie and the drill there. Excellent. Judgment Day, rocks like hell. Excellent track. Run Around would be a single in a video. Very catchy track. Pleasure Dome. Listen to the bass playing by Michael Anthony on this. It is killer. Wonderful song. Very driving and riveting. Dream is Over is very good. The best known songs on here right now, which was nearly a top 40 hit, but you could have swore it was a huge hit by how much it was played. On AOR, it got played a ton, and the video got played a ton on MTV too. And Top of the World was, I think, a maybe number 27 single, maybe 33. Maybe I'm getting that mixed up with Can't Stop Loving You from Balance, but excellent album here, produced by Andy Johns, Ted Templeman, and Van Halen themselves. This, I think, is the last great album they did until A Different Kind of Truth. I thought that comeback album with David was marvelous. And I think this is marvelous too. This is my number 10, Van Halen for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. Number 9, you watch my show, you know there's going to be cassettes. I bought this 2 days after it came out on cassette. This is my favorite band not called Little Feat. It's the Almond Brothers. Shades of Two Worlds. And here is the DVD. DVD, CD. I'm keeping that in there. Fuck it. This will continue the pretty astonishing comeback that the Almond Brothers band would make in the 1990s. They were left for dead by the early 80s. Well, twice actually. In the late 70s, they broke up in a sea of drugs, and then the early 80s, they started to sound more like the Doobie Brothers rather than the Almond Brothers, and the albums and quality really fell off a cliff, in my opinion. But they really made a strong comeback with Seven Turns, and this solidified. In fact, I think this is a stronger album than Seven Turns, even though this didn't sell as well. End of the Line was the song in AOR, very reflective, retrospective song sung so well by Greg Allman. Excellent track. Nobody Knows, excuse me, this is a tour de force. You loved the jamming from the early Almond Brothers band when Barry and Dwayne were there. This is to die for. Fantastic track. We got some blues tracks here. Get On With Your Life, which is excellent. Their version of Robert Johnson's Come On My Kitchen is very strong as well. We also got other deep cuts here, like Midnight Man. Kind of Bird is an excellent instrumental in the deep instrumental canon of Dickie Betts. He wrote some wonderful instrumentals, and Kind of Bird is fantastic. This is an album that kind of got slept on in 1991, but I think it deserves another look. Excellent album, latter day album by the Almond Brothers. Shades of Two Worlds. Number 9. Number 8. Look at a t-shirt. Armored Saint, Symbol of Salvation. I didn't really get into this band until recently. I knew them back in the 80s, but I never bought, the only album I bought was Saints Will Conquer, which was a live EP. We did the series on My Music Corner, John Clauser's channel. We decided to do Armored Saint after we did Wasp, because Armored Saint had opened the tour in 2022 for Wasp, and are opening for Wasp in 2024 as well. And John and I will both be seeing them near our respective hometowns. Well, where we live now. Anyway, a lot of people say this is the finest Armored Saint album. My favorite's La Raza, but this is pretty darn close. One great song after another. Vigorous heavy metal. The last one to feature Dave Pritchard. He died during recording of this album due to leukemia. But Last Train Home was the single and video. Very melodic, but passionate. John Bush sounds excellent on this album. He sounds great on every album, but oh my gosh, Truth Always Hurts kills. Dropping Like Flies kills. Tribal Dance is fantastic. Another Day is like a ballad, which is very well done. Burning Question, Tainted Past, Hanging Judge. So many great songs on this heavy metal album. That another one that deserves a second look. I don't even know if this charted in 1991, maybe in the lower reaches, but Armored Saint have a wonderful catalog. Please check out our series on Armored Saint on My Music Corner, where we discuss each album per episode. Symbol Salvation, fantastic album. My number 8 album from 1991. Number 7. This was my gateway into the band I'm going to talk about. I did talk about them on my top 10 songs. And for my money, the best Blues Traveler album, well, in my opinion, Travelers and Thieves. This was their second album. It went gold in the States, and I believe it only went gold after their 4th album called 4 did so well with the singles Hook and Runaround. This is a killer album. The whole band is on fire here. Onslaught, fantastic. I talked about how much I loved it on the top 10 songs, but other great songs. What's for Breakfast is killer. I Have My Thoughts is fantastic. Optimistic Thought was the song at AOR, but that's really catchy. John Popper's harmonica playing on that is wonderful. You got slower tracks that work well, like The Best Part and Sweet Pain. Support Your Local Emperor is very strong. Mountain Cry, what a closer. Greg Allman, guest with John Popper on the lead vocal on this one. Excellent way to end the album. My number 7, Blues Traveler, Travelers and Thieves. Number 6, a band that I discovered in those listening stations at Joe Nardone's Gallery of Sound back in 1991, is Primus. And this is their album, Sailing the Seas of Cheese. To me, their finest album, although Pork Soda and Brown Album are very good too. American Life was the song that I discussed, and that on the top 10 songs, and that is excellent. Jerry Was a Race Car Driver and Tommy the Cat were the songs that people would know the most because they were singles and videos. But Here Come the Bastards, so simple yet so grinding and effective, is awesome. Sergeant Baker is fantastic. Is It Luck is very catchy, extremely quirky. Those Damn Blue Collar Tweakers is awesome. It's also one of their live staples that goes over very well. Fish On is a lot more atmospheric, but just killer. Everything on here is killer. 11's awesome. Sellington Waltz. My favorite album by Primus, Sailing the Seas of Cheese, is my number 6. Number 5, let's go back to cassettes again. It's Toto at Sprocket, the album Fear. This would be the album that would break them in the States after being big on college rock for the Pale album. The big hits on this album were All I Want and Walk on the Ocean. They both hit the top 20 on the US Hot 100. They are both wonderful tracks, but Before You Were Born's awesome. Is It For Me could have been a hit. Hold Her Down, a rockin' song against domestic abuse, which works very well. Pray Your Gods is awesome. I Will Not Take These Things for Granted, the big dramatic tearjerker of a closer. Stories I Tell is wonderful. This album, the quality on here is spectacular. Plays like a greatest hits album. Oh, and don't forget Butterflies, which is one of my 10 favorite songs from 1991 with those kick-ass bass lines from Dean Dinning. And of course, Nightingale Song, which I just saw them play a month ago when they were playing with Gin Blossoms and Vertical Horizon at the Wind Creek Event Center in Bethlehem. Toad were great as usual. I thought they put on an excellent performance that night. Excellent band. This is my number 5 album from 1991, Toad Wet Sprocket, Beer. Number 4, the Music Nut is going to talk about hip hop. One of my favorite hip hop albums. And I'm not a big hip hop guy, but there are some bands that I really love, and one of them is A Tribe Called Quest. This is the Low End Theory. A lot of critics say this is the best hip hop album of all time. I can't argue that at all. This is amazing. Phife Dawg and Q-Tip, they work off each other like clockwork. Their raps are fantastic. The beats are sensational. The songs are memorable. Ron Carter plays bass on this. If you're a jazz enthusiast, you know Ron Carter, the most recorded jazz bassist of all time. If you've listened to Miles Davis at all, you've heard a ton of Ron Carter. Let's just go there. But Scenario was the song that was probably the biggest hits. It was nearly a top 40 hit from what I recall. Butter's excellent. Buggin' Out is awesome. Verses from the Abstract is awesome. Sky Pager, wonderful. We've Got Jazz, which is a song I mentioned in the top 10 songs. Very strong. Infamous Date Rape, a song against date rape. One thing about Tribe Called Quest, they were really intelligent lyricists, and they wanted to make the world better. They were a positive influence in hip hop, and a genre that isn't always positive. They were, and this album, Midnight Marauders, and a few of the others are all very, very strong. Check the Rhyme is killer. What is awesome? Everything on here works. Excursions, the opener is excellent. This is my number 4 album, 1991, Tribe Called Quest, The Low End Theory. Number 3, cassette again, Spin Doctors, Pocket Full of Kryptonite. On the album after series, I talk about Turn Upside Down, which was the album after Pocket Full of Kryptonite. And this album, I said, plays like a party album. And it does. It's a non-stop party. A lot of songs hit AOR. Jimmy Olsen's Blues. What Time Is It? How Could You Want Him When You Know You Can Have Me, which is a single and nearly hit the top 40. Album is best known for 2 huge songs. Little Miss Can't Be Wrong, which charted number 17 in the US charts, and Two Princes, which was a number 7 hit in the United States and was a huge hit all over the world. But the deep cuts kill. Off My Line's great. Refrigerator Car rocks like hell. 40 or 50s, very dreamy, works very well. The jam at the end, Shinbone Alley, Hard to Exist, fantastic closer. Nearly hit my top 10 songs of 91. Mark White's bass playing on here, wonderful throughout, particularly on that last song. They were on all cylinders on here. They never touched this album again. They did a lot of great songs, but not a lot of great albums again. This is a great album. This is spectacular. My number 3, Spin Doctors, Pocket Full of Kryptonite. Numbers 1 and 2, I discussed during the top 10 songs. I said these would be my 1 and 2. Now, as long as there's air in my lungs, I will talk about Chris Whitley's music. This is his debut, Living with the Law. I bought it on cassette originally, then I bought the CD. This is his best produced, recorded album. Malcolm Byrne did a production on this. It'd be the album that most people would know him for because Big Sky Country and the title song hit the AOR charts in 1991. This album is a tour de force, though. Great blues songs. I talked about Make the Dirt Stick before. Phone Call from Leavenworth, and acoustic blues, which is killer. One of the highlights on here. Poison Girl, very catchy. Dust Radio, very dreamy and atmospheric. Long Way Around, excellent track. Border Town is a killer, dramatic closer. Kick Them Stones is awesome. Everything on this album is fantastic. First great album of a series of great albums from this artist. Very eclectic, strong catalog. I highly recommend Chris Whitley's music. It's a little harder to find these days, but this album you can still find pretty easy. You can find it pretty easy used. This and Den of Ecstasy as follow-up. This is my number 2, Chris Whitley, Living with the Law. Number 1, for my money, where this band peaked. This is a tour de force of ska and R&B and heavy metal and reggae. Fishbone, The Reality of My Surroundings. This I found in the listening stations at Joe Nardone's Gallery of Sound. The song that I picked as my favorite song in 1991 was Sunless Saturday. A fantastic way to end an amazing, eclectic album. Fight the Youth, Rocks Like Hell, So Many Millions, more atmospheric, great storytelling song. Housework, those horn lines are to die for. Behavior Control Technician has the heavy horns, but the heavy guitars too. Very intense and driving. Pressure, so memorable and so fast in Connecticut. It's excellent. Pray to the Junkie Maker, slower. Another strong track. Everyday Sunshine was a single, very shiny. Reminds you a lot of Prime, Sly and the Family Stone. Excellent track. Nasty Man, cool R&B, fun as hell. Awesome track. Those Days Were Gone, more atmospheric. Everything on here. Some of it has 18 songs, but a lot of these are just little snippets. Like there were 4 songs called If I Were a I'd. They're only like 30-second snippets each. But everything on here is so well done. A tour de force like few others in the 1990s. Fishbone, The Reality of My Surroundings, is my number 1 album from 1991. What are some of your favorite albums from 1991? Do you like any of these artists that I discussed today? Please place your thoughts in the comments. Other honorable mentions. Pearl Jam 10, of course. I discovered that watching 120 Minutes. I believe I found Nirvana's Nevermind in the listening station at the Gallery of Sound as well. Of course, I'm going to mention that. They're both excellent albums. I just don't listen to them much anymore. Achtung Baby, I thought, was a very strong album by U2. There's a few albums I like more, but that one is very strong as well. Skid Row, Slave to the Grind. I think that's a much better album than the debut. Heavier album, but the songs are better. And I'm going to give you an honorable here that I don't think gets enough love. And this one's for you, Tim Durley. I'm not a big Bon Jovi fan, but if I want something like Bon Jovi, I listen to Richie Sambora's Stranger in This Town. It's an excellent blues, rock, moody album here. Guitar playing's excellent. The craftsmanship on these songs, very strong. Bon Jovi wasn't just John. Richie was an integral part. That's shown in spades on this album. A great honorable mention, I think. Check this album out. Buy this if you can. You can still find it used. Stranger in This Town by Richie Sambora. Another excellent album from that year. Again, please place your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me today. Programming note, September 18, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join John Clauser and I on his channel, My Music Corner, where we discuss the Accept catalog up to the Limit, the Accept series. This week's album, the beginning of the peak, in my opinion, their third album, Breaker. I hope y'all join us. Till then, do what you love, and I'll talk to you soon.